subscribe to Two Drink Minimum. Good stuff. Good channel. Check this guy out.
It's Stu. You ever heard of him?
No, you haven't actually. YouTube won't let you.
This is your king.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's updates.
Party! People in the place to be, what's going on? It's me. I could not let this go at all. I just couldn't. I had to be here with you, in part because of this, in part because I love you, but in part because of this. WWE in their infinite wisdom is bringing back King of the Ring. No, don't die down the celebration, because this is not something to revel in. This is not something that we should all be rejoicing for. The heavens, they brought it back. They brought back King of the Ring, one of my favorite pay-per-views. You've heard me rant and rave about it here on the channel. You saw my favorite King of the Ring moment here on the channel. If you haven't, ding somewhere and go watch it. But no, this is not a good thing, and let me tell you why. This from the official WWE website. The 2019 King of the Ring kicks off on Monday's Raw, and we have the official bracket for the prestigious tournament. Now, prestigious is really being used with an enormous grain of salt, if we're being honest, because Wade Barrett didn't exactly skyrocket after winning the King of the Ring, did he? King Mabel didn't exactly just carve his name in the record books after being King of the Ring. Sheamus, I mean, he found Cesaro, and that's good for him, but there was a long time where he was just languishing, man. This is not the tournament that it could have been. It was in the past. You know, for every Brock Lesnar and Brett and Owen, like I mentioned, there's Sheamus, right? So here's why I'm not exactly enamored with this tournament, because of how they're breaking it down. As I'm taping this, it's starting on Monday Night Raw tomorrow, SmackDown after that, and then for the first round, then the quarterfinals will be somewhere after that, and then the semifinals will be in September, and then the finals will be at Clash of the Champions a month from now. I'm going to spoil a little bit of my favorite King of the Ring video, which I pointed you to before. I didn't count Booker T's reign as King of the Ring, because he didn't win it in one night. Because they broke it down the same way they broke this down. And it didn't count. The whole point of the King of the Ring tournament, if you go back to the original King of the Ring tournament, it was a house show pop back in the mid 80s. It was to pop a big house show, right, where you could see your favorite athletes go through this tournament and crown a king, and sometimes they debut the gimmick on TV and sometimes they wouldn't, but whatever. It was a house show pop thing. It was a one-night tournament, and at the end of that tournament, wow, this guy really did something. Wow, Tito Santana went through 3 guys in one night, that he didn't meet off FetLife. He went through 3 guys in one night to become King of the Ring, and Bret Hart did it in '91, and Ted DiBiase, and all these guys. Look at how legit these guys are. What the fuck is this, man? What is this? What is this? This is not what I fell in love with. King of the Ring, look at me. Look at me, King. Look at me, KOTR. Listen, when I first met you, I fell in love with you. You were amazing. We had a rough year in '95, but I fell in love with you. You were amazing. The first 2 years, you were incredible. Now, I don't recognize you anymore. You're not who I fell in love with. I'm sorry. What is this laziness? What is this spreading this thing out over weeks and weeks over the period of the next month? What are we doing here? What is the point? King of the Ring '93, Bret Hart had 3 very distinct matches with 3 very distinct finishes against 3 very distinct opponents. That gave him the run of his life. And then at the end of it, he got buried by Jerry the King Lawler by the throne and knocking it over and all the topple thing to help kickstart that feud, right? '94, Owen, same thing. 3 amazing matches, one of which has been considered a classic by many, including myself, him versus 1-2-3 Kid in the semis. Just mind-boggling match. Just incredible match. Probably the best match out of Tatanka's career in the quarterfinals. One of the best of Razor's career in the finals. Just outstanding effort. Even 95 had its moments where you're trying to build this guy up. Even as hollow as 95 was, with the way they did it and the Savio Vega story and them throwing it to the wolves at the very end, it had its moments. It had the story. The story is an irrepressible. It is as simple to tell, and if you tell it well, it is as good as any other basic story in wrestling. It's the struggle to make it to the end, the test of your endurance, the test of your heart, the test of your will, maybe the test of your mind as you cheat your way, maybe get a bye, maybe do this, that, or the other. All these different aspects that could happen in this tournament in one night. And this is one night of excitement. And oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Over the years, they toned it down to the 2-match-a-night scenario, the semifinal and the final, which is, I've never been a fan of that. They went back and forth between whether the 2-match-a-night, the 3-match-a-night, 2-match-a-night, 3-match-a-night. Listen, if you can do 3, do the 3. And only 2 people have to do the 3 matches. If you don't have anybody on your roster that can do 3 good matches in a night, you don't have a good roster, WWE, or you don't know what you're doing with that roster that you have. I'm leaning more towards the latter. I'm leaning more towards they don't know what to do with the roster that they have, which is why they have this thing spread out. Now, listen, one of the reasons why I love King of the Ring is that this could create a star in a night. It really could. Everybody talks about Owen Hart and the match where he stepped out of his brother's shadow at WrestleMania 10. Yep, he sure did. But if his shoelace was still in that shadow, he Superman soared his way out of it. He created his legacy the night of the King of the Ring. Enduring legacy the night of the King of the Ring. Are you kidding me? Bret Hart showed the world why he was the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And arguably at the time, and again, this is when I just came into wrestling. I knew Bret Hart was the best wrestler on the show. He wasn't my favorite. Razor Ramon was my favorite, but I knew Bret was the best. Clearly. I couldn't say anybody else was better. In 1993, Bret Hart was clearly it. Better than Hogan, better than Yoko. Bret Hart was the best guy on the show. He was 1. 1A was Mr. Perfect. And they had an amazing semifinal match in that King of the Ring. And yet, all of that gets ruined by the way WWE lays it out. And guess what? They're going to get away with it. You know why they're going to get away with it? Because wrestling fans now, the WWE fans now, are going to let them get away with it. You guys are just going to accept it. Oh, King of the Ring is back. Oh, King of the Ring is back. What are you complaining about, Surreal? It's back. It's not back. This isn't King of the Ring. This is a bastardized version of King of the Ring. This isn't my Rick and Morty. This is a different Rick. This is from a different universe. This ain't my Rick and Morty. Okay? This is not hashtag not my King of the Ring. This is not my King of the Ring. This is some bullshit. But maybe they did it this way for another reason. Maybe they did it this way more than just, they're creatively bankrupt when it comes to their creative. More than just, they don't know what they're doing with their talent. More than just, Vince McMahon is a doddering old man. Maybe they did it this way because Vince McMahon doesn't want to create stars. Maybe that's one of the reasons why that and the fact that the last couple King of the Rings that they had over the last couple years were just complete misfires for any number of reasons. They were specials on the network, but they didn't do them right. They were fucking cheap, BS Raw bonuses. They didn't do it. They did then what a lot of Hollywood has done with reboots and sequels and are doing now. They took out all the heart. They forgot why we liked it in the first place. And they're forgetting again why we liked the King of the Ring in the first place. Now, mind you, that King of the Ring that Booker T won, I think it was 2006, it gave us King Booker and Queen Sharmell. It's terrific. Hey, watch that shit all the time. Big fan. Big fan. Could have done it in one night, though. They could have done it in one night and really made it special. Don't give me that excuse of they can't make the show. They've got fucking 86 pay-per-views a year. Fucking get rid of Stomping Grounds, or stop making Hell in a Cell an annual event, because that doesn't make any fucking sense, and do this instead. Oh, hey, guess what? This was one of the big 5 pay-per-views. Do you remember that, kids? Maybe you don't. You might be a little young. But back in the day, there were 4 pay-per-views a year. There was Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. In between, wait, hold on, let me do that again. There was Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor. That's not as slick as I thought it was going to be in my head. And Survivor Series. And then along came little baby King of the Ring. Right in between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. There's a little stop gap there, right? Because this is about 3 months, this is about 3 months, and then you had like a 6-month window between Mania and SummerSlam, so you had to fill that. They put King of the Ring right in there. And part of the reason why they did that, I think, was to help Bret Hart, make it up to Bret for what the hell happened at WrestleMania 9, but he had another pay-per-view. And it could create stars. Bret and Owen showed that it could make careers. It could be huge feathers in the cap. It could be prestigious. But then what happened? They fucked it up in 95. They kind of fucked it up again in 96. They gave it to Austin. They shortened the length of the tournament itself, which fucking why? They gave it to Austin, but then Austin languished and didn't do shit with the King of the Ring title and didn't get a push until Bret Hart came back in the fall of that year. Like what, 4, 5 months, 6 months later? 97, they give it to Hunter. Okay, Hunter gets a push, but not necessarily because he's King of the Ring. He gets a push because he's hanging out with Shawn Michaels and they start creating DX. 98, they give it to Shamrock. It doesn't really help him. He gets a push, but he was getting a push anyway. He'd been getting a push since he came in the year before. 99, they give it to Billy Gunn, which I was all in favor of, until they gave it to him and fucked that up. And then jobbed him right on out to the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. 2000, it was Kurt. Okay, helped bolster his career. 2001, Edge. Okay, get it. Got it? Good. On that trajectory, understand it. 2002, Brock Lesnar, and then we don't hear from it again for years. And then it just comes in and out like that wayward father that left for cigarettes so many years ago and only comes back occasionally when he and your mom think you're asleep, but you're not really asleep. You can hear everything that... I'm sorry. The King of the Ring is coming back, and it's back now, and I'm not in favor of it now coming back in this form. This is not the form I wanted it, but since we do have it in this form, let's take a look at what it looks like. So we got opening round, then we got quarterfinals, then semifinals, and finals. So rather than this round back in the day would have been the round that takes place on like Superstars leading up to the actual event, but since they're spreading it out like this, then we're getting it slipshod. So we got Cesaro versus Joe, Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre. Look at the bracket. You can see the bracket. Looking at this, the matches I'm already interested in seeing: Cesaro versus Joe, depending on how much time they give them. Ali versus Murphy. Gable versus Benjamin. Not depending on how much time they give them. Actually, yeah, a little bit depending on how much time they give them. A little bit. Yeah, I kind of want to see them actually let them work. Do something with Shelty B and Chad Gable. Let me see what they have to offer in this match with each other. Shelton Benjamin has been wasted since he came back like nothing else. I would imagine this could be an opportunity for a coming out party for Chad Gable a little bit. Rather than give it to Shelton Benjamin, although if they let Shelton go a couple of rounds, that wouldn't be bad either. But I would imagine they want to invest a little bit more in Chad Gable than they do with Shelton Benjamin at this point, which is a shame, but predictable as they're always being in England, baby. It is fucking right on the money. Apollo Crews and Andrade should be an interesting match. What do I think of the... Whoa, shit, I already see what the worst match is going to be. The Miz versus Baron Corbin in the opening round. Holy fuck. Who booked that shit? Oh my god, a face Miz versus Baron Corbin. Ooh, buddy. Buddy, if you got a friend who is an insomniac, you put that match right in front of them. Do not operate heavy machinery while watching that shit. Holy fuck. Jesus, a face Miz versus Baron Corbin in any incarnation. They're gonna need to put the suicide hotline number underneath this match while it's going on. Holy fuck, that sounds awful. Anyway, those are the matches that I would imagine would be really good, and of course, Ricochet is Ricochet. What do I think is going to happen, you may ask, in this incarnation? They love them some Drew McIntyre. I would imagine Drew McIntyre. A podcast I'm listening to right now thinks Drew McIntyre will win. Looking at it, he thinks it's going to be Solid Monster thinks it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus Kevin Owens in the finals. I think they may do... No, they're not giving it to Joe. Honestly, looking at it, that would make sense. That would make the most sense. They may give it to Baron Corbin, which I don't know why they keep pushing this motherfucker, but they actually no, they probably won't. After those pay-per-view matches that he had with Seth and the love him or leave him or loser leaves or winner take whatever the fuck match they had at Extreme Rules, they probably gonna lay off Baron Corbin. The Drew McIntyre idea is probably the one that makes the most sense from a Vince McMahon WWE standpoint. I don't see anybody on the SmackDown side winning this. The Kevin Owens being the finalist scenario makes the most sense from that. Again, if there was a second choice of who they'd give the King of the Ring to, they could overnight. It's not overnight. It's not 1 month. If it were overnight, it would be a completely different thing, and there would be so many other different options, but it's not. In 1 month tournament, they could reestablish Joe. But I don't know. And that's the other part of this. Because it's over the course of the month, they may change their minds. They may fuck around and be like, oh, Vince is changing shows the fucking hour he's changing the second hour while the first hour's on the air and shit. Like, this whole thing could blow up. So, honestly, the Drew McIntyre winning it scenario makes the most sense from a Vince standpoint. I can't really see anything else happening from this any other way. Who would I like to see? What would I like to see happen, you may ask? Funny you should ask. If I were in the booking chair and they laid this in front of me and I couldn't change the names, because God knows I would change some of the names, and God knows I would change the date to one date, because that's the fucking point. Anyway, if I couldn't change anything, that's already set, but I could hit who's going to win and the match scenarios I want to have. I mentioned I want to see this. I think this would be a good coming out party for Chad Gable. I'd like to see Apollo Crews make it past 1 round. Hey, happy-go-lucky, nice guy. He's this generation's Coco Beware without the personality. But God damn it, make me believe he's not just a complete loser. You know what I'm saying? Like, get him out of 1 round is what I'd like to see. But at the same time, they have him against Andrade. And I want to see Andrade succeed. I like Andrade. Andrade's shit is fan-fucking-tastic. I'd love to see Apollo Crews make it past 1 round, but the only way I would book that is if I already have a plan for Andrade going forward, and they kind of, missed the boat, just kind of weirded. I think he's still tangled up with Ray, but Is he? Is that wrapping up? Like, I don't know. I would like to see that. I'd like to see Miz and Baron Corbin go to a time limit draw, just so we don't have to see either one of them in the tournament for the rest of this. Cedric Alexander's already getting a push right now. I would, if I were booking this, I would see what trips me up is the Apollo Crews Andrade thing, because I want to see Apollo get past a round, but I kind of would like Andrade to get past a couple of rounds. Maybe. Who would I put him in there with? He would need a bigger name to be in there with. Because I want Andrade to get past 2 rounds and I want Apollo to at least only get past 1, I'm going to go with Andrade getting to like the semis or the SmackDown finals. Who would I put him in there with? It would have to be a guy at his level, popularity-wise or above. Honestly, fucking Kevin Owens, I guess, because they haven't really made any. This is the problem. This is the ever-loving underlying problem with WWE. Their hierarchy is shit. Everybody's on the same even level. There's not a whole lot of, this will jumpstart this guy's career. This will help this guy while not hurting that guy. It's you know what I mean? There's no bigger name on that SmackDown side for Andrade to really do that, to really get over with, other than Kevin Owens in this instance. Like, Elias, you could do Elias, but, I mean, hasn't Elias been getting his ass kicked recently by, Edge and other people? Like, why would you do that to him? If I had my druthers, I would probably say Elias or Ali. This could be a good payback for Ali, the same way 93 was for Brett after the Hogan WrestleMania 9 switcheroo, right? If Ali could burst through this and see his Cinderella moment, although at some point you got to end Kofi's Cinderella moment, don't you? Right? Like, or do you end it with Ali? Does the winner of this get a title shot, and then Ali goes through and gets his Cinderella moment over on Kofi Kingston, the guy who had his Cinderella moment because Ali got out with an injury? That's good booking. But then who's over there on the other side that Ali goes against? Well, really the top 6 names on that roster would be good for him to go over on, but I don't see Sami Zayn. Ricochet doesn't need it. He's embroiled. He's tangled up with the club, and honestly, the club should probably be the reason why he loses. Joe and Cesaro. I would love to see Joe get some of his shine back, but for what? For him to lose to Ali at the end of this tournament? I need Joe to have that same makeover that Bray Wyatt has. So honestly, the best thing for Joe in this tournament will probably be to eliminate him early so he can start going on an actual tear and start getting his shine back outside of the tournament. Because he doesn't necessarily need this tournament. He doesn't necessarily need the title shot or any of that other stuff, at least not through the manner of this tournament. He can go off and do his own thing outside of this. Cesaro, it would be great to see him get a lot of that shine. So honestly, Drew McIntyre's a good choice, and The Miz and Baron Corbin are both employed. I would say if I were booking this, just looking at the names, ultimately Ali versus Cesaro at the end, with Ali getting the Duke and getting the shot at Kofi Kingston at a future pay-per-view of his choosing. Wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Except for the problem is, you gotta think, that's the SmackDown side. And guess what happens? Really close to the end of this tournament, SmackDown goes to Fox. Fox wants Brock. Brock ain't gonna be on SmackDown without a belt. Not for long, he ain't. Right? So, what am I setting up Ali for? Just to be chopped up and fed to the poor? This isn't over the course of one night, unfortunately. So you can't exactly tell the same story, right? You can't exactly tell the same story of like nagging injuries and stuff like that continue, that make as much sense later on in the tournament the way they would in one night, which helps helps weave this amazing tapestry of a tournament. What you can do is you can still have some of that Cinderella story with Ali, at least through 2 rounds. Sorry, Buddy Murphy. You could still give Ali his push. I would say through the 2nd round. I would say have him go through Buddy, have him go through Elias. Have Chad Gable go over Shelton. I want Apollo to win a match, but have Andrade go through. Have Andrade give Chad the match of his life on his way to Ali. Then have Ali go through. Miz and Baron Corbin get a bye, which really would mean that Sami Zayn as a heel, or go to a draw, which really should mean Sami Zayn as a heel gets a bye. So then that leaves, have Cesaro eliminated early, have Ricochet eliminated early, Cesaro versus Drew. Cesaro wins. Very close contest. That's probably the match of that entire Raw bracket. Cesaro versus Zayn. Cesaro wins. And then you go to your final and give that to Ali to go to Kofi and have a match. And you have at least something close to a Cinderella moment. Even if he doesn't win. Ali doesn't need to win, honestly. Honestly, the next SmackDown champion should be somebody strong. I don't think Ali's at that level yet, but he should have a good outing with that match. And that match could help make Ali what Vince is willing to accept as a star these days. But I don't know. That's if I, looking at this list, if I had my druthers, party people, I need for you to tell me what you would do with this entire scenario. What do you think will happen first? What would you like to see happen next? And you can tell me all that down there in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe. Do me a favor. I need some more patrons over on Patreon. Do me a favor. I need some more pals over on PayPal. Do me a favor. I need some more stars on Subscribestar. Do me a favor. I need some Mo over at Venmo. All those, before you get to the comment section, are down there in the description. Go over there, support. Keep the lights on at the party. We are not monetized anywhere. We need to change that. Part of the way we're going to change that is with you. Liking, sharing, subscribing on all the platforms, including Vlare.tv, V-A-V-L-A, drink her down, V-L-A-R-E.tv. YouTube.com/Surreal469. Tell your friends about it. You know you want to. That's all I got to say. And until next time, cheers.
I'm a nice guy, I'm a nice place, with a nice smile on my nice face. Turn your back and I'm making sure my night's straight. And when you're out of town, I'll be making sure your wife's straight.